Thriving faster starts with purpose, not haste. You might think your problem is lack of money, but in reality it's almost always lack of direction. When a person tries to prosper without purpose, they run too fast and arrive exhausted at the wrong place. Now, when you understand that prosperity is tool, not a trophy, everything changes, because you stop hunting for money and start to build value. Napoleon Hill emphasized this point repeatedly. A confused mind produces confused results, plain and simple. And God? God takes no pleasure in your misery. He takes pleasure in your growth. Integrity. Let me gently challenge you. Why exactly do you want to prosper faster? To prove something to someone, or to fulfill a real calling, like taking care of your family, serving people, paving the way? Because when the why becomes strong, the how appears. And that's the game. Wealth without a mission becomes a burden, and burden pulls you down. But wealth with purpose becomes fuel and pushes you forward. And here's a detail that almost no one talks about. When your goal is bigger than your ego, you stop sabotaging yourself. Want a practical example that works in the real world? Grab a piece of paper and write, "I want to thrive in order to," and complete it with something concrete. For example, pay off debts, build up savings, invest in my business, help my parents, support kingdom projects. Then, right next to it, I will do this with integrity, even if it takes a little longer. Because the wrong quick fix becomes expensive later. That's when you realize prospering the right way gives you a peace that no money can buy, and that gives you the energy to continue. And look, when that foundation is firm, then you can talk about the next step, because purpose alone doesn't work. It needs a very specific inner strength. Applied faith. Believing without action is just wishful thinking. Many people say they have faith, but live as if everything depended solely on luck. And then nothing happens. The faith that accelerates prosperity is not passive, it's practical. It's the kind that goes straight from prayer to action. Napoleon Hill called this applied belief. You decide internally and confirm externally in your daily life. When a person understands this, they stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating the possible moment. Because faith that doesn't move becomes just pretty talk, and talk doesn't pay the bills. Here's a point that almost no one connects. The mind works in favor of what you repeat and practice. If you say you trust, but act out of fear, the mind believes the fear. It's that simple. Now, when you affirm something and take a small, coherent step, the brain enters solution mode. For example, someone who says they want to grow financially but never studies, never improves their skills, never tries anything new, is working against themselves. Applied faith is praying for guidance and then opening the right book, calling the right person, making the difficult decision. Prosperity accelerates when faith and discipline go hand in hand. Discipline to wake up on time, to learn a little every day, to improve 1% at a time. Nothing fancy. Reading books like Think and Grow Richer. The Richest Man in Babylon. It doesn't change your life on its own, but it changes the way you think. And the right thinking generates the right attitude, which generates the right opportunity. It's a silent domino effect. And speaking of attitude, there's a specific behavior that separates those who grow slowly from those who advance quickly. And it appears in the next point. The extra mile. The invisible shortcut to prosperity. Almost everyone only does what they're paid to do, and then complains about being underpaid. Now, those who prosper faster have understood something simple and counterintuitive. Value comes before money. Napoleon Hill spoke of this when he explained that successful people always deliver more than what was agreed upon. Not out of naivete, but out of intelligent strategy and long-term vision. Because the market quickly forgets those who do the basics, but remembers forever those who solve problems. Think about any area: work, business, service provision, or even relationships. The person who calls afterward to check if everything is all right, who improves a detail without charging extra, who truly cares, creates a competitive advantage without realizing it. This isn't being exploited. It's building reputation, authority, and trust. And trust is the fastest converting currency there is. Money follows trust like a shadow follows the body. Want to apply this in practice? Start small and consciously. If you work for someone, ask, "What can I improve here that no one is seeing?" If you're an entrepreneur, deliver something extra: a simple guide, a personalized tip, post-sale support. If you're starting from scratch, study beyond the necessary. Basic marketing, sales, communication. YouTube and books are open universities. And curiously, when you do this for a while, doors start to open, but not by chance. The extra mile creates something powerful. Movement. People start recommending you, opportunities appear unannounced, invitations come out of nowhere. It seems like luck, but it's accumulated results. And here's a detail that can accelerate everything or stall everything: your internal beliefs, those you don't even realize you carry. Because it's no use acting differently if deep down, the brakes are still on. And that's exactly what the next point addresses. Paradigms. The invisible brake that hinders or accelerates your prosperity. Many people work hard, they strive, and yet they seem to be going in circles. The problem isn't in the visible action, but in the invisible beliefs that govern behavior. Bob Proctor explained this clearly. Paradigms are mental programs running in the background. They decide how much you think you deserve, what you accept, and how far you allow yourself to go. And here's the uncomfortable part. It doesn't matter what you want. It matters what you believe. If deep down you believe that money corrupts, that prospering requires dishonesty, or that good people suffer, your mind will sabotage every advance. You miss opportunities unintentionally, charge less than you're worth, and procrastinate on important decisions. It's like trying to accelerate with your foot on the brake. The engine strains, but the car doesn't move. Now, when the paradigm changes, the same effort begins to generate completely different results. And this isn't mystical, it's mental and spiritual at the same time. Want a simple but powerful exercise? Observe your automatic phrases. Anything that starts with, "This isn't for me," "I never succeed," "All rich people are the same," reveals a blockage. Consciously replace them with affirmations aligned with truth and purpose, not fantasy. Something like, "I can prosper with integrity." "Money is a tool, not an identity." "God is not offended by growth." Repeated intentionally, this reprograms daily decisions, and decisions change destinies. Here's the key point. Prosperity doesn't begin outside. It begins inside. When the mind accepts growth, the body acts differently. The voice changes. The posture changes. People feel it. The environment responds to it. Opportunities recognize it. And when this internal adjustment happens, something curious naturally arises. The right connections, the right people, strategic alliances. And that's where one of the most ignored principles comes in. No one prospers alone. And the next topic makes that very clear. Mastermind. No one prospers quickly by walking alone. There's a dangerous myth that strong people can do everything alone, and this holds back more lives than a lack of money. Napoleon Hill noticed something curious while studying the great names of success. They all had strategic alliances. It wasn't a friendship of convenience, it was an exchange of vision, mutual correction, mental expansion. When aligned minds connect, an invisible third force emerges that accelerates decisions and results. And no, this is not a coincidence, it's intelligent synergy. Look around and be honest. Who surrounds you today pulls you up or keeps you too comfortable? Because excessive comfort is often the silent enemy of growth. A healthy mastermind questions, confronts with respect, provokes evolution. It's that person who asks you, "Why haven't you started yet?" instead of "Leave it for later." Rapid prosperity requires environments that stretch your mind, not massage your ego. In practice, this doesn't need to be something sophisticated. It can be a small reading group, an online mentorship, a business partner, or someone more experienced whom you respect. Reading authors like Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor, or even biographies of entrepreneurs creates a powerful mental mastermind. You start thinking differently because you are feeding yourself with broader perspectives, and bigger thinking generates bigger decisions. Simple, but transformative. Here's a detail that few people realize. Those who grow together grow faster. Excessive competition is born from scarcity. Collaboration is born from abundance. When you help someone thrive, you expand your own capacity to thrive. And this movement creates something essential for the next level. Right emotional energy, correct vibration, aligned inner state. Because having a strategy is useless if your internal energy repels what you say you want. And that's exactly what comes next. Vibration and identity. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Here's a truth that many people turn their noses up at, but which works in the real world. Results follow identity. Bob Proctor said this directly. You don't attract money, opportunities, or people through desire, but through alignment. If inside you still see yourself as someone broken, surviving, or struggling, your decisions will reflect that. Even when the opportunity arises, something inside you freezes, hesitates, or sabotages itself. And it's not a lack of ability. It's internal misalignment. Vibrating in abundance is not ostentation, nor is it pretending to live a reality that doesn't exist. It's practical gratitude, dignified posture, and responsibility for what is already in your hands. The person who takes good care of the little shows that they are ready for the much. Those who complain about having little prove that, even with more, they would remain dissatisfied. Prosperity accelerates when you honor the process, not when you despise the phase. A simple example. Two people earn the same salary. One organizes, invests in learning, sets aside a portion, even a small one, to grow. The other consumes everything trying to feel rich for a few minutes. Years later, their paths are completely different, not by luck, but by identity. Those who act as builders attract construction. Those who act as consumers attract scarcity. Want to apply this today? Start by adjusting invisible habits. Organize your finances, even if they are simple. Honor small commitments. Talk differently about money. Replace "it's not possible" with "it's not possible yet, but I will learn." This changes your internal frequency and, without realizing it, changes your daily choices. And when identity and vibration align, something inevitable arises: consistent action. And that's what separates those who understand from those who truly prosper. The subject of the next point. Consistent action. Prosperity doesn't respond to intention. It responds to movement. Some people think they know everything, understand everything, agree with everything, and yet they remain in the same place. Because prosperity doesn't respond to good intentions, it responds to repeated action. Even imperfect actions are possible. Napoleon Hill made this clear by studying successful people. They all acted before they felt ready. They didn't wait for total confidence, absolute clarity, or a perfect scenario. They moved, and movement created clarity along the way. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Overthinking becomes an elegant form of procrastination. People say they are preparing, but deep down, they are afraid of making mistakes. But making mistakes while moving teaches faster than getting it right only in theory. Consistent action is doing the basics well every day, even when you don't feel like it. And it is this consistency that builds credibility over time. Want practical and applicable examples? Those who want to grow financially need to choose a key daily action. Studying for 30 minutes, prospecting clients, improving a skill, creating something useful. Entrepreneurs can start by publishing simple content, offering small services, validating ideas in the real world. Those who work for others can develop a rare skill: communication, leadership, sales, problem solving. Small, repeated actions create large, accumulated results. Always. And here's the subtle point. Action without purpose becomes exhaustion, but aligned action becomes progress. When you act knowing why you're doing it, energy isn't wasted. You make mistakes, adjust, learn, and continue, without excessive drama. And the more you act, the more opportunities arise, almost as if the path were revealing itself step by step. But to sustain this pace without giving up, there's an essential ingredient that many people ignore, and it's called persistence. The next topic. Intelligent persistence. It's not stubbornness, it's commitment to purpose. Everyone likes the idea of prospering quickly, but few enjoy the process when things get tough. Napoleon Hill said that persistence is what separates desire from achievement. And he was right. Those who give up early call it a sign, but often it's just initial discomfort. Prosperity accelerates when you stop negotiating with giving up. It's not glamour, it's a daily decision. Now pay attention to an important detail. Persisting is not repeating the same mistake expecting a different result. Intelligent persistence adjusts the course without abandoning the destination. You keep your purpose firm, but you test strategies, learn from feedback, and correct quickly. It's like an airplane. It goes off course several times, but always returns to its course. Those who prosper understand this and don't dramatize each adjustment. In practice, this changes everything. If something didn't work this month, you don't conclude that you weren't born for this. You ask, what do I learn here? You change methods, change approaches, seek guidance, but you don't abandon the vision. Persistence is continuing even when the applause hasn't come, when no one has noticed yet. And almost always, the result appears right after the point where most would give up. There's also an emotional factor here. Those who persevere develop inner strength. Confidence isn't born from quick success. It's born from repeated overcoming. Each difficulty overcome reinforces the identity of someone who doesn't run away. And this identity creates something powerful: emotional stability to thrive without losing oneself. Because growing without balance is dangerous, and this leads us directly to the next point: time, focus, and priorities. Prosperity is the daughter of planning. Many people say they want to prosper, but treat time as if it were infinite. Napoleon Hill observed that prosperous people were not necessarily more intelligent, but rather more intentional. They knew exactly where to put their energy, and most importantly, where. No time is the only resource that cannot be recovered, and those who understand this play the game on another level. Prosperity accelerates when you stop wasting days on things that build nothing. Here's a simple and uncomfortable truth. Focus means saying no frequently. No to constant distractions, no to empty conversations, no to habits that drain energy. Those who live reacting to the world build nothing solid. Those who decide what goes on their agenda begin to control the results. And that's worth more than any advanced technique. In practice, this is very applicable. People who prosper faster tend to protect blocks of time to learn, plan, and execute. They read a little every day, study the market, and develop useful skills. While many consume entertainment without criteria, they invest attention in growth. It's not extreme rigidity, it's strategic awareness. And there's more. When you respect your time, people begin to respect you. Those who are always available seem cheap. Those with a clear agenda convey value. This changes how opportunities arise, invitations appear, and partnerships are formed. Without realizing it, Their life begins to revolve around building, not surviving. And when time falls into place, something emerges that sustains it all in the long run: gratitude and a vision for legacy. The next and final point before we close the loop: gratitude and legacy. Prosperity that ends with you is too small. There comes a point where thriving stops being just about earning more and starts being about to mean more. Napoleon Hill observed this in the most successful men he studied. They all thought beyond their own lives. They didn't work just for comfort, but for contribution. And here's the powerful paradox: the more you think about legacy, the faster prosperity flows, because the focus shifts from ego to impact. Gratitude is the silent foundation of it all. Those who constantly complain vibrate with lack. Those who are grateful recognize provision. Gratitude isn't about denying problems. It's about choosing not to be defined by them. When you are grateful for what you already have, even if it's still little, you signal inner maturity. And maturity attracts more responsibility, more opportunities, more growth. In practice, this is simple and applicable. Starting the day by being grateful for 3 specific things changes your mental attitude. Ending the day by acknowledging lessons learned, even from mistakes, strengthens your resilience. Gradually, you stop chasing money out of anxiety and begin to build prosperity with clarity. And clarity reduces wasted energy, something essential for growing quickly and well. Now, the final point: legacy. Honest question. If everything went right financially, what would change in other people's lives because of you? A more secure family, people helped, shared knowledge, doors opened? Prosperity that doesn't overflow becomes empty accumulation. Prosperity that overflows becomes a living purpose. And when this vision takes hold, everything you've learned so far fits together like a system. How to prosper faster without losing your soul. What if I told you that the biggest reason why many people don't prosper isn't a lack of effort, faith, or ability, but a silent belief? What if financial success comes at too high a spiritual price? Perhaps you've heard, or even believed, that money distances you from God, that prosperity corrupts, that good people suffer while the wrong ones prosper. But here's the paradox. What if the problem isn't prosperity itself, but rather to thrive the wrong way? Because the truth is harsh, but liberating. Poverty has never been a virtue, and scarcity has never been a calling. What destroys lives is not money, but the lack of purpose in dealing with it. Many people pray for provision, but live with guilt when they begin to grow. They work hard, but sabotage themselves when it's time to advance. They want to prosper, but are afraid of losing their soul in the process. And that's exactly where Napoleon Hill comes in with a teaching that almost no one connects with spirituality. True prosperity is born when purpose, faith, and action, they walk together. It's not about running faster. It's about aligning better. In this video, you'll discover why some people prosper faster without stepping on anyone, without losing their peace, and without straying from God. You'll understand the invisible principles that accelerate results, not dirty shortcuts, but solid foundations. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that prospering isn't about betraying your faith. It's fulfill a calling. If this resonates with you, stay with me until the end. Because what you're about to hear is not ordinary, and definitely not superficial. Now the decision is yours. Now let me ask you some direct questions, the kind you can't ignore. Everything you've heard so far, will it remain just information, or will it lead to transformation? Because prosperity doesn't respond to internal applause, it responds to practical decision. You don't need to apply everything at once, but you do need to apply it. Something today, small, conscious action, aligned with purpose, can already change the game. So think about it. Which of these points do you know deep down that you need to adjust first? Is it the purpose that's still confused? Is it the action you've been postponing? Is it the time being wasted, the wrong people around you, or the silent belief that tells you that growing is dangerous? Be honest with yourself. No one else needs to know. Thriving faster isn't about running around like crazy. It's about stopping going in circles. It's about aligning faith with attitude, character with strategy, intention with movement. It's understanding that God didn't call you to survive tired, but to grow as a blessing. And when you decide to prosper the right way, something changes inside, before it changes outside. Peace comes before money, and that's a sign you're on the right track. Now I want to know from you, what was the biggest turning point in this video? Write it in the comments, because when you verbalize a decision, you reinforce it internally. And if this content helped you see prosperity in a more mature, deeper way, and more aligned with your values, then do the following. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and continue this journey with me. Here we talk about real growth, prosperity with purpose, and evolution that doesn't demand your soul as a price.